You are listening to Radio Belvaspata, South Africa. This show is dedicated to those who live and love from the heart in infinite ways. In today's episode, we will discuss, share, gain insights, and get clarity on the wisdom and teachings of the mystic and seer Almin, as well as discover more about the miraculous healing modality called Belvaspata. Your host for this show is Paul.
Welcome to Radio Belvaspata, South Africa. It is Thursday, the 26th of October, 2017. We're in for a good treat tonight, another night of mystery, alchemy, working on equations, deciding where we are all at, and then moving into another absolute, incredible reality day by day as we allow ourselves. Thank you everyone for joining us. If you're in South Africa, you'll be on the time frame. It's now just after 8 p.m. South African Standard Time. If you're elsewhere in the world, you might be on another time frame. But for us, it's all the same reality at the moment. We are online, live, and broadcasting out of east of Johannesburg. And it is, as I've said, the 26th of October. Our cosmic mantra of the day is trust in my ability to self-sustain myself is my firm foundation during winds of change. How incredibly appropriate is that? I'm going to use the word intensely, not to sound dramatic, but intensely grateful for these cosmic mantras that we get every day, for the rune predictions of the week, for these Almin wisdoms that just keep you where you need to be, allowing yourself to sustain yourself and to begin to work on all of these things. I'm seeing more and more inside myself how I'm able to understand the different realms of processes that are going in within me, and I'm really absolutely grateful just for these opportunities. I think there's some huge things that are unfolding for all of us. And as we go through our experiences day by day, it's fantastic to see how each of you are sharing this online and also on your social media and on Facebook. All of these things that, do keep us connected as a light family around the world. It's Almin's birthday. Happy birthday to Almin today. And as she celebrates her birthday, she says she's going to be celebrating it with the fairies, and we must please excuse her for not being available today. But welcome everyone. We're celebrating Almin's birthday, as we've just said. When she says that she's going to spend the day in silence with the fairies, then you know that there's something more coming for us. There's another connection being forged somewhere, more information and more alchemy for us to work with and experience and process through our day-to-day living. I am just truly, truly in gratitude for all of these experiences. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Nico is on the sound desk. Everything seems to be running well. Wi-Fi is working right now. And in a little while, we'll also be crossing over to Canada to talk to one of our light family members there. A question was posed to Almin a while back, and it said, please forgive my ignorance, but how to know if we, or rather I am, one of the original ones? Almin says, you learn eventually to identify others that are also original ones by the frequency they emit. And she would describe it as a vibrant and a human frequency as lacking luster. As for yourself, and Almin is talking to the person who posed this question to her, she says, if this journey that we're on feels like coming home, it excites and inspires you, is recognized by you, it is almost certain that you are an original one. It overwhelms and scares humans. The work is laden with subtle information triggers in the words, art, and in the music, and that these are all designed to inspire recognition in an original one. And original ones, thank you for tuning in. I think it's great to understand that as a master being, we have a lot of internal work to do. We have a lot of external work to do. We need to put all of these processes together. And it's great just to have an hour each week where we can just sit quietly, listen to the radio, listen to what is going on. And we're going to get some Almin audio coming up as well. There's something really been interesting developing. I've been watching on Facebook and some of the social media posts of the Light family around the world. restructuring in certain ways. And great to see how this is going on. For example, Kiara Young of the Luminous Being Portal, and many of you will be on that particular Facebook group and page, has started to put together a group Belvaspatar healing date and starting to forge that and work it together. And she's really putting a lot of work into it. It's fantastic watching that. On the other hand, there's some of you have also perhaps been saying, well, we don't think that Belvaspatar can work as a group healing, and that discussion has been unfolding. So that's kind of the theme of where we're going today as well. Our title is about time, is about bridges, it's about attitudes, and about trusting ourselves to be where we need to be in each particular moment. And what I realized within this particular process is that as we begin to discover more and more processes, as more and more information is released through the seer to us, combining with the work that we are all doing in alignment with all of that, so many more discoveries are being made. And for example, there is huge discoveries of very old ancient structures being brought up into the world. In Antarctica, a brand new huge pyramid was discovered just a little while ago. And then, Darshana, thank you also for sending me that link about the Adams Bridge, which scientists are saying is 1.7 million years old. And this is in the something called the Palk Strait in the Indian Ocean. And as scientists have figured out that this is an artificial man-made bridge, and they've given it an age of 1.7 million years. And I'm starting to just look at this and go, hang on a second, how can anybody even identify this structure? And I just look at what its meaning is right now, that it's in this particular moment. And it's revealing something to us. And I know each one of you will be looking at that as well and saying, yes, well, we understand that things are coming up for us all to look at, and they are all, part of our internal and external environment. And as we learn to dissolve the realms and the processes and the walls that the matrix have put up around us, we're beginning to see more and more around ourselves. But for me, time has now become something completely different. There's no such thing for me as linear time anymore in terms of the past. Although in openness, I must say I still have some concepts about the future and some of those processes, and of course trying to put plans into place to try and perhaps bring the future into a zone where I can understand it better and better. But I'm learning to let go of all of that. And of course, spot on with this, we have some more audio from Almin coming up talking about, the controlling issues that we have with that. But for me, everything at this moment is unfolding realities all contained within this minute and within this moment. So even though there's a 1.7 million year old man-made bridge somewhere out in the Indian Ocean that has been discovered and have got the scientific world all excited, that to me is something that we need to have in our space at this moment in time. And even though it's an ancient structure, it means that as an original one, as a master being, we are bringing the past and the future back into the present moment and dissolving duality. And I hope I'm explaining it deeply enough, and equal enough so that you can get your own insight into that particular process. But it feels to me like I hold all the power of this moment in my hand, and everything unfolds within this particular moment. And the past is an absolute blur. It doesn't exist for me anymore. So we're going to talk a little bit about all of these processes as we're going on. I mean, how old are you as an original one? 1.7 million years old, or are you newly birthed? I mean, these are all things that we can really work and discover as we're going along. But I think the biggest thing that I'm learning in this moment is learning to trust myself, learning to trust my environment, learning to trust that I have the ability to sustain myself and that I am angelically supported and fully supported in all of this particular journey. So this is where we're going tonight. But, we're talking about the Belvaspatar healing that is really being organized on a group level. And I'm loving as it unfolds and as it all comes together and who will be part of it and who won't. And it doesn't matter. It just means that the family is now restructuring in a way and as learning to sustain each other, not only as a group, but individually, and just putting their own individual frequency into this particular process. And as I did a little bit of research, I discovered an old recording from Almin. And when I say old, it's only 2 years old. She talks about the return that we need to return peace on earth. And it's a call to the holy ones, to the original ones, to return Peace to Earth. And it answers a lot of those questions that people are putting up on Facebook about this healing modality of Belvaspata, whether it should be a group or individual, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think it just brings things into context. So that's our contribution at this moment. And let's listen to that audio recording, and we'll talk to you as we come back.
We have been asked to restore the peace on earth. We've been asked to target destructuring into manageable proportions. This is a call to the holy ones of the earth, to the God beings who walk unknown amongst man, to the sacred government through self-government of the major lights on earth. 2015 was the first year in many that we have not drawn together in measured groups like we used to, in the form of retreats, as we call them, to target the destructuring. Destructuring, like leaves falling off a tree in autumn, is simply part of life. Great rocks get broken into grains of sand and so forth. But we have always been there during these past 14 years or so, and more actually. We have been here to help create graceful change. We have prevented major cataclysms in 2012, and very specifically in the beginning of 2013. This last year of 2015 was the first year that we did not come together as groups. Everybody was doing their own thing. Some ran after money, some ran after man-made modalities, and others did what they were supposed to. They put roots underneath the wings with which we have flown for these many years. But regardless, to come together as holy ones in a group is such a powerful event. That is why we have now begun again to meet together in small groups, initially in groups of silence, to restore the silent peace to mankind. We are now here to clean house, to put the earth to rest. It is work that is so sacred it cannot be called work. It is a sacred privilege of the holy ones. And throughout the ages, when they have been scattered across the world, all working at their own pace, then the world has descended into rapid destructuring and forced change. It has been chaotic and painful. And so we begin our silent retreat. In fact, I'm just about to begin the first one, which is a group of women. We also have been focusing on tools that create our guiding, the quality of the journey, our stepping up into the spiritual maturity that allows us to co-create how life on earth unfolds. We have been very much involved with time maps lately because amongst the tools of helping to create peaceful, graceful future, it has to be in accordance with divine will. This is the first major tool that we have received that allows us to read the divine will to some extent. We will focus on tools of creating an environment of peaceful change, and we will gather yet again in groups, silently at first meeting, in order to return peace on earth. This is the significance. The call to you today, as I am about to embark on my first retreat for 15 months, my call to you today, my beloved ones, is firstly to do 7 sigils, 7 angels, the first 7 of Karnish Belvaspata. Those of you that are Belvaspata masters, if you can do this on behalf of the troubled spots in the world. For now, let's focus on Syria and also on Brazil, where a new disease is threatening the unborn. Let us focus there. That's step 1. Step 2, during our silent week, we will be doing internal work on releasing all areas of our life that we are still trying to control the outcome, so that the control group known as ISIS, the control tyrants of Syria, the control of disease, and hidden governments can disappear by proxy also. I call you to please do this. Send the violet light like an explosion through these countries and through the world as a whole. Follow it with white light. And if you want to, with the pale green light, that's a mint green that removes mind control. Do it in conjunction with the god Merkaba, and you will restore peace to certain land masses that you focus on. Thank you so much for your assistance. As we do our work silently this week, we will feel your holy presence. Thank you, my beloved light family from around the world.
And there we were listening to the Seer Al-Amin's audio class that we had from 2015, where she discusses about how we return peace on earth. And there's a comment made there where she said, how life on earth unfolds. And that, to me, is where I'm at in my own reality, my own process. It's just things are unfolding all the time. And I'm learning to trust more and more that will unfold, will be of benefit, will bring support. It's such an incredible journey as opposed to the intense stress levels of years ago where the worry and concern was all of there. And I know I've just got to get up every day with a good heart, with an open mind, be still in that process and just apply myself to what is in front of me and look for the insights as it's going along. But these cosmic mantras hit me every single morning as they come in. And Denise, thank you very much for sharing that with us on our group. There's a webinar coming up, an Al-Amin themed webinar. There's quite a few of those training courses and those seminars and webinars already online, and more are developing. Great to use technology and everybody can connect from around the world. But it's called Preparing to Awaken from the Dream of the Infinite. The last few shows we've spoken about, living outside of illusion, dissolving those illusions, seeing what it is, awakening from the dream. Literally, I'm feeling that more and more. The reality of where I'm at day to day deepens, and it feels to me like there's a spiritual maturity manifesting within me where I see with wise eyes and not really reacting to a lot of it, but learning to respond within myself what it is that I need to do to support and sustain myself. Because I suppose at the end of the day, that's all we truly have, is we only have this moment and we have ourselves within it, in the palm of our own hands, holding that particular space together. So this Preparing to Awaken from the Dream of the Infinite is a webinar course which will contain unique information received by the seer during a period of studying the origins of the dream of duality, as well as the most recent information about the current evolution of the cosmos. It's an in-depth study of how the dream of the infinite began and the dream of individualization. There is some old recordings where Al-Amin talks about how, separation began and all this individuation process began just from one thought. And you'll get that in books like The Thought That Fractured the Infinite, etc. But the summary really of this particular webinar is of absolute interest to me, and I'd like to share that with you because it says we are standing at the threshold of an unexplored new reality. And that word unexplored really excites me a lot. It says that we are in the stages of entering this new reality and leaving all dreams behind. These unfolding opportunities presented by studying the 144 illuminations of the gods, which is contained within this webinar. We study Almin's teachings before and after these 144 illuminations, and how we are suddenly able to understand deep layers of information in these teachings and practices that have been closed to us before. Changes in spatial perception. Look at that. Your vision and all of that completely altering and changing as we're going along. We have changes in our perceptions of what reality is and everything that happens within and around our lives. There's also an opportunity here to study the origin of the infinite's dream. And this is all in this particular course that's coming up. So in a few minutes, we're going to be crossing to a beautiful healing master in Canada, and we'll be discussing some of that. But just first of all, up on Almin Diary, we have Revelations from the Future called Dawn of the Divine Feminine. And again, this is coming up through the Moscow seminar and all those processes that have been going on. And Almin says, in all the years of receiving vast and powerful revelations, I don't believe that I've ever received anything as powerful that made such an impact on me as the material that was received for the Moscow seminar. This is going to be absolutely incredible. Remember, this is the Tablets of Fire. Last week we played an audio and we spoke about how Almin says, I'm not ready for the Tablets of Fire because it is just so profoundly life-changing. There's so many questions that Almin's had for many years that were left unanswered. The profound insights of the Tablets of Fire, sent by the original ones from the future, deliver the power and energy needed to change all life and enable the original ones to awaken from the dream of duality into the white light reality. And that's why I'm bringing up the subject matter of that bridge that has suddenly been uncovered in the ocean as the ocean separates, and humanity is again being able to see this 1.7 million year old thing, an original bridge made of original layers of structures. And the scientists went down and they couldn't believe the structures of this bridge, from sandstone, to rock, and then layers that were put on top of it along the way. And Almin talks about all of these processes in her teachings, how life can just suddenly be dissolved, like a rock can be dissolved into pebbles, etc., etc., and how it all reforms and restructures. I think we're in for the most exciting time of our lives. So we've got now just a short audio break, and then we'll cross over to our friend Sandra in Canada. The sister is waiting for us, so we'll just get hold of her on the line, and let's listen to this in the meantime.
Team Belvaspatar Healing South Africa facilitates one-on-one, group or distant healings utilizing a cutting-edge angelic healing modality that harmonizes and balances using a combined process of light and frequency. This cosmic healing modality has various protocols available that will assist in the transformation, transmutation and transfiguration of many areas of life. Visit our website on www.belvaspatar.co.za for complete information, and also link to us on Facebook under our name, Team Belvaspatar Healing South Africa. You may also send an email to belvaspatar@anua.co.za. You can join our WhatsApp discussion group for daily posts and trending information and updates from Almin, the seer and mystic. Message us via either Facebook, email, or on the station's commentary section. We will now return to the online chat show, hosted by Team Belvaspatar South Africa and our guests for the day.
Welcome back to Radio Belvaspatar show for the 26th of October 2017 via call from, I think, Toronto, Canada, is our sister Sandra Saradesi, who has just recently moved to Canada from what I know, and we're going to have some interesting discussions. Good evening, it'd be good day to you, Sandra.
Thank you so much, Paul. It's such a privilege to be joining you from here, from Toronto. And, that brings me back to what you were talking, time and space. And the more and more we transcend that illusion, the more and more we get to live at every moment. And we understand that not with words, but with our hearts, that we are always in oneness, no matter where we are.
It's I get speechless at times when I hear things like this, because I get so excited about the journey that is unfolding that there's no words to actually describe it. But as you say, it is from the heart.
Yes, and so many people throughout the year, since we have received the blessings of the Belvaspata angelic healing modality given by the Seer Almin, have tried to understand how Belvaspata works. And I keep saying, you cannot understand with the head what is to be understood with the heart.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there. And I see that transformation with people that I've been facilitating Belvaspata with on their own healing journey. As the heart unfolds and the healing happens, and it's like they step into a complete new reality.
In their journey, how magnificent it is to witness their shift and their change and the profundity of where they go. And for me, Paul, I'll tell you, the silence of the mind, without the silence of the mind, there is absolutely no way we can embark in the journey that we are, in the magnitude of this powerful journey that we don't even have a reference point. So you have to, absolutely, requirement number one is silence of the mind. And the Belvaspata angels have been very key for me into achieving high states of silence of the mind. No matter where I am, I could be in the middle of a concert and my mind is in stillness.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm seeing that aspect of silence within the mind as that I'm not reacting mentally to processes. I'm understanding and seeing these processes, but I'm not reacting that there are processes following that reaction any longer. I'm just observing, and then don't let it disturb me. And that to me is the gift that I have gained from this journey with the Seer Almin's teachings.
Well, one of the phrases very powerful and dear to my heart from Almin is like, anytime I feel that something, there's a pebble in my pond, I would go back to feeling, how can the unreal have power over the real? Mm-hmm. There is absolutely no possible way.
Absolutely. And I think that's a powerful process we need to understand, and how to maintain ourselves all the time. Just going back to those particular processes that we have, these gifts that we've taken, down the road and along the journey.
Yeah, and we have done a lot of self-work in terms of the duality of humanity, and how I personally taken it on very seriously, merging the opposite poles. So this is in order to transcend into a resurrection, which is the 4 stages of resurrection that we are experimenting at the moment. The pretty much the ABC of resurrection is unifying the opposite poles that are absolutely everywhere.
Absolutely, yeah, and reading those for what they are as well, because there is a lesson there in every moment of that process, of that experience.
Yes, indeed. And it's interesting that you introduced me as from Canada, because I have been, for the last 3 years, mostly living in Portugal, in Lisbon. And I came in July to Canada, to Toronto, because purposely I wanted to attend to the Ohio retreat with our beloved Almin.
Right.
And this was the very first opportunity or that presented itself into being a group after all the experiences that have happened. She's just been doing private retreats. So this was the first group retreat.
Yeah.
And interesting enough, I had planned to be here a month and a half. And it's over 3 months and I'm still here. I actually lost my return ticket to go back to Lisbon. And I'm telling you, I have completely lost the sense of what you're talking, time, space, and I've been just in the river of life experiencing fluidity. And one of the most powerful things that Almin said and resonated in my heart in this last retreat was bloom where you planted. And as you can see, I was going to say it backwards because my brain is totally dismantled. I was going to say planted where you bloom, and I guess it's the same thing. But truly, this is what I'm doing. I'm blooming where I'm planted at the moment. And I don't really, every day I have friends, clients, people, loved ones asking me when I'm going back. And I used to be upset about, I don't know.
Right.
And I have reached a point when it looks like crazy to other people that I don't know. I say, I have no idea when I'm going back or coming back because I don't know. It's all so rapidly changing and shifting that we can't really predict anything. It's like it's impossible to do a prediction at this point. That's my personal experience.
Yeah.
I don't know how you are living this fluidity, Paul.
Well, a great question, and thank you for asking, because I feel for so many of us, we are going through these massive shifts and letting go of what no longer serves us and stepping into the unknown and living with full heart and trust in this experience day to day. For me, there's still little bits of aspects where I need to try and control things, or I get a little bit insecure, but very, very quickly I'm able to let go of that and just open my heart to whatever lies in this particular day and just let go of everything. I mean, for me personally, I let go of a company that I've been running for many, many years, and it's a family company that I've had and worked within the family for 30 odd years. And I'm like the fourth generation textile person, been working with textiles. I've let it all go. It's the end of the line for that particular process. And, it was like a miracle that unfolded how this all came about. And now I'm just looking forward to this next miracle that will unfold as whatever is coming will come, and let's walk down that road.
I absolutely, I cannot begin to tell you how many chapters have ended in the last 3 months for me here, and how many new chapters are starting, and the endings and the beginnings is just another duality. So it just is, and it's so effortless how things drop on our lap and just watch the magic. So I mean, I was just driving home today. I went out and I was just feeling what would be the definition of magic.
Right.
So one of the words that really came to me was spontaneous, in the moment, is unexpected. It's undescribable, but it doesn't have a sequence, a pattern, nor logic.
Absolutely. None of those. Logic is all gone. Don't even try to think or put things into logical perspective. And I think you're right there. The only thing, the magic we have is spontaneity, because that brings a great deal of joy and happiness and more energy as well in that particular process. I must say, I'm watching you and your beautiful post you put up on your Facebook page, and your spontaneity is certainly shining out. I'm enjoying wherever you find yourself day to day.
Yes, and I am not trying to define myself by anything.
No.
Because I'm the undefinable.
Yeah.
And it's what resonates with me, what brings that joy, because this is what I've been experiencing. This is one of the pillars of this.
Hello. Hello?
Yes, I'm here, Paul.
Sorry, we had a drop in signal there for a few moments. Do you mind repeating that, what you were sharing? Because I think we lost the signal. Okay, we'll keep trying. Sandra?
I'm here.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm here.
We lost
Yeah.
signal for a few moments there. Do you mind repeating that again so that we can just hear what you were saying?
That we are forgetting. Do you know when we talked last week?
Yeah.
I've been trying to remember. I've been, and then we.
Yeah, I think we keep losing each other. Sandra, give me one moment. What we're going to do is we're going to phone you back again. We're just going to play another track and then I'll reconnect with you and we'll get back into the conversation. So sorry about that. To our listeners at the moment, we're just battling with signal. I'm going to be just trying to connect with Sandra in a few minutes. What we'd like to do is just play a audio track by Almeen that's just come up on Almeen Diary today. And she talks about concerned only with an outcome and life, as artificial intelligence runs it. And I think that is just such an important aspect of where we're at and those processes, because we can get very trapped in the need for an outcome. It becomes a process where we become just one track and we not experience everything in its fullness. So let's listen to that and I'll try and get Sandra back on the line and then we'll continue our interesting conversation with her there.
So I stumbled upon this little clip yesterday from a famous scientist, Richard Dawkins, and he said that even though science was quite far away still, he was confident that anything in the brain could ultimately be replicated with silicon and therefore also, in his estimation, generate consciousness. And he thought that AI would probably be better at running the world than us humans. So my question is, that's what you're referring to when you say that kind of life form, if we can call it, would only have the electric flower of life?
Yes, it would. And for him to say because they would run the world better than we would is unbelievably absurd. But, he's a scientist that thinks electrically perhaps, so that is that. But a lot of star races did think the same thought. Oh, hey, maybe if we create artificial intelligence, they could run our planet better, or they could assist us, or they could take care of our armies, or something like that. Well, the consequence of it is that they not only ran the planet, they ran the occupants of the planet. And they became merciless, heartless creatures that are only concerned with the outcome. And these initially artificially created by star races beings, if you remember the online course of the science of immortality and incorruptibility, they occupied the rim in between those. If you look at your flower of life sphere and say, this is our known cosmos, because this is our known little labyrinth we have in the bottom of the ocean, there is between the masculine and the feminine in the outer rim, that is actually the matrix of the cosmos. And the matrix of the cosmos, 1/4 of it was controlled by the AI, the artificial intelligences. And life would circle around it, and every time we would get into their quarter as a planet, they would try and exert control. They would only lose that control when we moved out of the quarter of the cosmos that is under their control. And the important thing that we pointed out is that there is this huge guilt in humanity to let things happen, such as the Holocausts, including the one that happened in Germany and spread throughout the world like a cancer, the Nazis. The Nazis is one of, I believe it was 6 tribes of artificial intelligence. They were very concerned with genetics, so they were trying to develop the super race. They mind-controlled the German people, and people turned into monsters. We have the Nazis, and we also have their, let's call it their counterpart in this, which is the Aryan, which is the Aryan race. They were trying to create a human race because their big desire is to have the feminine components. They were trying to create bodies in which they could put their intelligence and run the world. But they needed soul, and they don't have soul. So, yes, they were created by races with the exact same mindset as this scientist.
And there the Seer Almin was talking about how we are concerned only with an outcome when artificial intelligence runs our life. Some great excerpts there from the Tablets of Fire, questions and answers that are coming forward. Almin there's talking about the electric flower of life and the soul flower of life, and recounting what a world run by artificial intelligence looks like. Well, I have my own opinion on artificial intelligence. It's not always polite, and I'm not going to give any of you that particular information, but I do have the wonderful Sandra back online. And Sandra, we were talking about, the journey through life and the way we live life just from the heart, and how we are all working on these processes. What I find from you, the frequency that comes from you when I look at your pictures, when I have a discussion with you or share on whatever level we're sharing on at any one time, is that the inner child has come to the fore for you, and you are thoroughly letting that run around and have a lot of fun.
How wonderful that you are able to see that, because I have really been enjoying letting my inner child play and just allowing my inner child to know that it's okay to be happy at all times. And humor is a great part of this play.
Really, really so much so, yeah.
You are spot on with that.
And to just give ourselves permission to have that fun and enjoy ourselves in a world that is so incredibly serious most of the time. I mean, it astounds me how heavy many people that are walking around in the world are. Literally, the world is weighing down on their shoulders, and yet we are now trying to create and bring our own world out, which is completely different.
Yeah, all of it stems from the illusion of separation.
Really, really so much more. You made a comment earlier about, as we dance through life and we create this new process, and then we discover the illusion within it, and as we let it go, and that has rung a few bells for me at the moment, is that we try and put the programming back into place in our lives in order to control whatever outcome we're going to be getting from it. But that itself is illusory. It's just not real. And then our job then is to let that unrealness go and dissolve, so we can step into the next experience.
Yes, and the more we try to control, if we only trust, we could allow the high magic to step into our lives, because anything we can possibly conceive, it's nothing. It's a grain of sand compared to what the infinite, a million magical ways.
Right.
And as I say this, I'm covered in chills, because I mean, I am humbled by the blessings that come when you trust.
Yeah. Again, I'm sitting here speechless at what you are sharing because I'm recognizing it fully, and I'm also sitting here in absolute amazement at what unfolds. So, for me as a radio host, I shouldn't allow dead air time, but at this moment I'm staring at the ceiling going, wow, yes, there it is. Thank you for sharing that.
I Paul, we just have to, sort of like live our life with, we have things that we have to do in our day-to-day life, but also allow the spontaneity and the magic to come in, and also have days where we have nothing planned, but just open heart, openness of the self to receive and be prepared to be amazed.
Yeah.
And you will not be disappointed.
No,
I tell you.
Really incredible. And I've done that within myself, over the last maybe year or so. I've actually released everything that is stopping my time, where I can just sit and enjoy myself and live in the full moment, and then do whatever I need to do after that. But just releasing everything that's stopping me from bringing my own happiness up and allowing it to flourish, I think is the word I'd like to use.
Mm-hmm. And I want to tie in this conversation into today's audio from Almeen on the almeendiary.com from the Seer Almeen, when she's talking about the AI, the artificial intelligence. And what I really felt is that, of course, there is artificial intelligence, but there are also humans that could become artificial intelligence, and they are becoming artificial intelligence because they are
for this particular time frame. And thank you, Sandra. I know that you're back listening to this again. And by the way, Sandra, I've got a great surprise coming up for you for a few minutes, because I do remember our conversation last week. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy what comes up over there, because listeners, Sandra and I often share aspects of music and some of these absolutely happy moments of music as it comes through, and we just dance through that particular aspect of it. And I really appreciate Sandra for all of that. What I'm going to talk about now as we move towards the last part of our show is that the Night of the Angels, which is the Book of High Magic, is going to be released at midnight at the end of the year, on December the 31st. It's a new book by the Seer Almeen called Book of High Magic, Becoming a Master of the White Light. And I'm looking forward to that, because it'll be the culmination of so much work for so many of us. And when I read the description of it, you're going to understand that all the work that you've done with is absolutely necessary for this book then to come up. It says here, I'm just reading from the excerpt that has been given to us, it contains over 384 wheels of high magic and 384 sacred principles to guide us in becoming a holy master of the white light. This book emanates power and immaculate white light. As a power object, it can be used to guard the sanctity of your living space and keep it from being polluted by the negativity and ill intent of others. Stored under your bed, it prevents interference into your life from negative infiltration from the dream state. As is the case with the other power books created by the seer, this book works in an integrated way with them to create an alchemical equation that provides stability for graceful change. When stacking all the power books together, they should be stacked in the following order. So if you've got the other books and then you get this one, this is what we are said we can do with it. It's the latest book, which would be the Book of High Magic on the bottom. So that's the bottom of the pile. On top of that, the other book, Book of Answers. and until you get to the first power book, the Book of Spells, on top of it. So those 3 books can be used as a power object and to create sanctity in our environment. So much more flinging in at us. Have you noticed how there are still attempts around you of people that are still trying to dominate through their negativity and push it in to create that tribal process around them? Have you noticed how powerful you've become in your ability to ensure that that doesn't take place, that you don't bite into it? I find that such a miracle for myself, is that I no longer have to bite into that process, and yet I still have compassion and understanding for it all. So that's the Night of the Angels, the Book of High Magic, coming up in how many weeks? 8 weeks' time, everyone. That's till we get to the end of the year. I can't wait to get that particular book. Right, so we're coming now towards the end of our show tonight. We've had to cut our interview with Sandra in Canada a little bit short just because of technology, and we may have lost a few seconds here and there on the show as well due to the live stream not working. But whatever, let's carry on and move forward, and don't let any of these particular processes stop us. Thank you for being with us tonight. I'd like to say that one beautiful bit of Almeen wisdom came forward for me today, and I've grabbed hold of it and I'm working with it with all my heart. And she says, preserve the sanctity of your eternal journey by refusing to make of your life a dumping ground for others' discordant choices. Dysfunctionality is a chosen focus, not an unfortunate state of being. Isn't that just incredibly beautiful and powerful? And it's come up on air for you. Almeen's given it to us to share, and now it's yours. So please use it for the rest of the week ahead. And then, of course, remember today's mantra: trust in my ability to self-sustain myself is my firm foundation during winds of change. In this Book of High Magic, I'm taken very much with this aspect of creating stability for graceful change. And that I'm finding a very, very interesting process going on within myself, as that has become so important for me to maintain and to recognize when I am in times when disstability wants to come into play and take control of everything. But it's no longer a fight. It's now just a recognition and then a smooth transition into remaining stable and open to those particular processes and not trying to necessarily control it, but knowing all the time that I am the one that's responsible for all the change in my life, and I need to just step forward into whatever lies in front of me. And the creativity is absolutely flowing. So that's a gift for me, and I'd like to share that with you. We are coming to the end of the show right now, and Sandra, hopefully you're listening. I know that you're a Glee fan, and there's an artist and an actor and singer from Glee called Darren Criss. Last week we played I Dream a Dream from him to end our particular show. And Sandra, this is for you, and of course for all our listeners. It's a track by Darren Criss from Glee. It's his song. It's called Not Alone. And by the way, this is my love song to each one of you. And I'd like to say thank you so much for joining us for tonight's show. I'd like to just say thank you to Nico for holding the sound desk and engineering desk there as well as he possibly can. And let's just work with what we've got. I look forward to visiting with you next week, and I look forward to sharing 1 hour of beautiful light family time. And remember, we are the ones that make change within ourselves, and therefore everything else changes too. Good night and goodbye. Radio Belvas Patar, South Africa. Until next week, love, praise, gratitude, and trust.
I've been alone, surrounded by darkness. I've seen how heartless the world can be. And I've seen you crying. You felt like it's hopeless. I'll always do my best to make you see. Baby, you're not alone, 'cause you're here with me. And nothing's ever gonna bring us down, 'cause now Now I know it ain't easy, but it ain't hard trying. Every time I see you smiling, and I feel you so close to me, and you tell me, baby, you're not alone, 'cause you're here with me, and nothing's ever gonna bring us down, 'cause nothing can keep me from loving you, and you know it's true. It don't matter what'll come to be, our love is all we need to make it through. I still have trouble, I trip and stumble trying to make sense of things sometimes. I look for reasons, but I don't need them. All I need is to look in your eyes, and I realize, baby, I'm not alone, 'cause you're here with me, and nothing's ever gonna take us down, 'cause nothing can keep me from loving you, and you know it's true. It don't matter what'll come to be, our love is all we need to make it through. Oh, 'cause you're here with me, and nothing's ever gonna bring us down, 'cause nothing can keep me from loving you, and you know it's true. Oh, it don't matter what'll come to be, you know our love is all we need. Our love is all we need to make it through.
You've been listening to Radio Belvaspata, South Africa. Thank you for listening and sharing in our discussion. Should you have any questions with regards to the healing modality of Belvaspata or have any healing needs, please send us an email to info@belvaspata.co.za or add comments to our page on Spreaker.com so we can work on providing a suitable response. We now close this episode with the eternal ascension qualities of love, praise, gratitude and trust, and look forward to sharing again with you next week. Goodbye.